Hi Gemini, welcome to your reading for Aries season. In comparison to everyone else, I pulled these cards. I was shuffling before starting your video and I felt that the cards that came out made absolute sense as to how I was going to talk to you this season and what I mean by certain things. Aries season has really sped up the way you communicate with yourself as well as with others. A lot of fire making things unclear and smoky, right? Imagine yourself in a small room and the room's caught on fire. You can't breathe, you can't see, it's cloudy, okay? So also, you go into a state of panic. I feel like you're kind of in that position this season. Hence the King of Wands in reverse. But good news, Venus will be going into Taurus, the moon into Libra. So a lot of that Martian energy is going to start to be replaced with Venusian energy, which will bring more of a sense of calmness. It will bring more of a sense of fluidity, harmony, right? Outside of the chaos going on. So you will be turned around and you will see things in a perspective that is very personal. Okay? Which then tells me we need to be careful because we don't want to, sometimes Gemini, your attitude, your reactivity to things can be very black or white, or from one extreme to another. It's needing to have a little more moderation, a little more balanced. So although these two elements of Venus will be coming in to kind of add a little balance into all the Martian energy that's out right now, it's going to take your focus from being very speedy and chaotic to taking things a little more personal and having taking things personal and shutting down. Okay, so we go from being very expressive to non-expressive, right? The Chariot in reverse indicating to me that we are not trusting of our thoughts, of the way we perceive things, the way we communicate. Okay, we're probably not even trusting of our position when it comes to our interactions and relationships with other people. Okay, so being outwardly vocal and expressive and confident to now being more interpersonal and reflecting and keeping things to ourselves, it's a really big contrast. Whoop. So let's see what else, how this plays out a little bit, and why you're meant to just kind of change form, or what the premise of it is. Everything has a rhyme or reason. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to keep this here because we go from chaos to being more interpersonal. And for some of you, you could see this as a big break. You don't even care. But when you are going to be very personal and kept to yourself, you will be in a position where you kind of lose sight of consistency, your routines. You stop indulging in routines. You're kind of in a contemplative state here. Here's that Chariot in the reverse again, underneath the King of Cups here. Okay. Let's see if we could pull one more card in the top row. Kind of balance things out, right? All right. There's Aries, front and center here. Speaking of front and center, are we? Maybe we should just move this a little bit. Okay. Gemini, this moment of keeping things to yourself will also bring contemplation. If you're even on the right path, I feel for some of you you're questioning where you're at right now. And I think you're questioning it because for the first time, you're realizing, is this something that you're doing for yourself or for other people? This blend of Martian and Venusian energy will really help you balance things out, because you are very duplicitous. There are multiple sides to you. So that's where the overthinking comes in. You're trying to cater to all aspects of who you are. And the path that you're on right now, whether it be career, family, personal even, you're wondering if the things that you're doing are for yourself or outside of yourself. So like I said, you are Aries here in this reading, but the influences of Venus is going to kind of muddy the waters a little bit. I shouldn't say muddy the waters. It'll probably calm the flame, all the fire that's happening, right? Because like I said, there was chaos. You being that Knight of Wands, and now we have the Five of Wands in the reverse in between the King of Cups. But the King of Cups is very still, very silent here. So, it's contemplating, who am I doing this for? Who am I becoming? Is it for me or is it for someone else? Maybe it's obligations. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's being programmed to kind of perform for everyone and putting self last. And it makes sense. Aries is a time for self, but the Venus placements that we are going, between Venus and the Moon, which are very feminine, very about others. It's making us question who we do this for the self or for other. Where's the value? Or who provides the value more? Is it for the self or is it for the other? Where is there more reciprocity? Six of Cups in reverse. Like I said, I think we were always taught to believe that we have to give away everything for the sake of love. It's like, have you ever watched Casino with Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Sharon Stone? In the movie, Robert De Niro's character is a Gemini. It's even mentioned in the movie. And in the beginning, he says, once you love someone, you give them everything, or else what's the point? And I feel that you're in that state to ask yourself, really, what is the point here? Because between the two of Swords and the Justice, this is Libra energy. We are contemplating, who do we do this for? And with the Hierophant above, we're figuring out where the most value comes out of. Putting our needs first or putting the needs of others first. So, actually, let's go in reverse here, right? So like I said, you're always taught to believe that. Give everything away for the purpose of love, because what's the point? There's the Moon again. Not again, sorry, I just did Taurus's reading prior. They had that. Okay. No. Did they? No, that was my own personal reading. Whoops. Oh my God, I've done so many readings already this morning. Okay. So we realize we are also have been attracting the wrong thing the entire time, always doing for the sake of everyone, always providing stability and security for everyone. And, naturally, we play that role because that's what we were always taught to do, to behave. Okay? And especially, we weren't guided to be responsible in that kind of giving. Instead, we've always given to people who just show up instead and not really do anything for us. Okay? A lot of times when we do put ourselves first, or we do for the sake of ourselves, there's always someone out there asking, well, what about me? Always stretching their hand out. What about me? They have so much that they could do for themselves, so much potential, yet they can't do it without our assistance, our help here, which has depleted us from the abundances that we're supposed to have for ourselves. So there is a realization here. If you haven't had it yet, it will come because the Moon is there. But I think you will realize where in your life you are overcompensating. And those that expect for you to put them in front of yourselves, where do you set the boundary? And it's not too late to do so either. All right, Gemini, it's not your responsibility to feed the entire village. Because if you are that machine, that generator, how do you expect to fuel or repair yourself if you don't give time to yourself? If you don't stack up for yourself? If you don't say no for yourself? So this is something that you're going to have to practice. Aries season is all about the self. I'm just showing you where you're lacking in that idea of self and where you're overcompensating when it comes to giving away self. All right, this is a we and I season between the full moon in Libra and Aries season and all the planets in it. Saturn, Neptune, Sun, Mercury. Okay, this is the last day of Venus before it gets into Taurus tomorrow. So we got surrender here. Look. Self-love, acceptance, realization. Okay. Let's actually flip that because we have 3 and 4 here. So I think honestly, that surrendering to me is your notorious logic of just like, who gives a shit? Like when you detach, you really detach. And I think you're going to be detaching from the expectations of other people and focusing more on the self because you realize something. I think you realize and you've accepted that no one can be able to provide and share love the way that you do. You are ruled by the lovers in tarot. But that love should be to the self because, again, you are duplicitous. You are the man and the woman. You are the angel and the devil. You are 2 parts of a whole. Gemini. So if everyone else fails you, that's okay. You have yourself. You're more than capable of loving yourself, securing yourself, balancing yourself, having fun with yourself even. And Aries will show you how to do that. And Libra and Taurus is going to show you where to add more balance. Okay. All right, Gemini, this is your reading for Aries season. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tap on the notification bell. And if this reading resonated, let me know in the comments. If you want a personal, my link is below. If you want a personal with me live, follow me on Instagram. All my events are, posted on my page. So you could always meet with me if you want an actual reading. They're pretty fun. I suggest that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.